Hey everyone, ever get that feeling, where you think you know a story, like you've got it down, but something feels kind of, I don't know, missing?
I know what you mean.
That's how Achilles was for me, right?
Yeah.
Like warrior, tragic ending, boom,
Hmm.
done. But
The Spark Notes version.
exactly, it was all surface level. I wanted to figure out who he really was,
Yeah.
beyond the legend.
Right, like the actual person behind all the myths.
Totally. And luckily, we've got excerpts from this book, Achilles Unveiled, to help us dig deeper.
Oh, now that's a deep dive waiting to happen. From what I've heard, it really gets into the nitty-gritty of his character.
Yeah, it does. And it doesn't waste any time getting to the good stuff either. Like right away, we're thrown into this prophecy hanging over Achilles' head.
Yeah.
Achieve everlasting glory. Okay, sounds great, but die young.
Talk about pressure.
Right. Imagine having to make that choice. A quiet life, maybe grow old, or your name etched in legend. But it's over before you hit 30.
I mean, how do you even process that, Knowing your time is probably going to be cut short.
And that's what the book really drives home, I think. For Achilles, it wasn't some hypothetical dilemma. This was his everyday reality.
Especially since he's born, half god, half mortal?
Talk about a recipe for an identity crisis.
Yeah.
The book argues that this is key to understanding him, this whole nature versus nurture thing.
Yeah, it's not just teenage angst like, woe is me, I might be the chosen one sort of thing.
It's way deeper than
It's like this fundamental conflict, right? You crave a normal life, but you've got destiny breathing down your neck.
So, okay, he's got the weight of the world literally on his shoulders.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown and all that.
But the book doesn't paint him as some, gloomy, brooding kid either. He's drawn to the glory, to the idea of being remembered.
Oh, absolutely. He's got that fire,
So what was it about that path, that glory at all costs thing, that appealed to him so much, knowing the potential cost?
That, my friend, is the million-dollar question. And honestly, the excerpts offer some pretty intriguing clues. There's this one passage that stuck with me. It describes Achilles feeling this, fire in his veins when he'd think about battle.
Intense.
Right. Almost like this primal urge he can't ignore, no matter how much logic is telling him otherwise.
So are they saying it's like an instinct, something beyond his control?
That's kind of the sense I get, yeah. It's as if a part of him, maybe that God side, craved the intensity of it all, even knowing how it might end.
It's almost like that saying, live fast, die young.
But with the fate of nations hanging in the balance.
Exactly. No biggie, just, a touch of world-ending war on top of everything else. But here's the thing. This whole internal struggle, it's not just some ancient Greek problem, right? I feel like we've all grappled with that.
Oh, for sure.
Wanting success, recognition, even if it means, sacrificing other parts of our lives.
It's the human condition.
It makes him incredibly relatable, don't you think?
Absolutely. That's what makes the whole tragic hero label really hit home with Achilles. It's not just a label, he embodies it. He isn't some two-dimensional character in armor.
Right, he's not just there to move the plot along.
Exactly. He's flawed, he's relatable, he wants it all. The quiet life, the glory, the recognition. And in a weird way, it makes his eventual choice even more poignant, even more heartbreaking.
Because choosing glory meant, well, stepping onto the battlefields. And for Achilles, that meant the Trojan War.
Ah, yes. The one with the giant wooden...
We know. We'll get there.
Right, right.
But seriously, this wasn't just some border skirmish.
Oh, no. This was the conflict of their world. Imagine this. Two of the most powerful civilizations in the ancient world going head to head.
It's giving epic rap battle, but with, way more at stake.
And at the heart of it all, you have this clash between Achilles, our conflicted hero, and Agamemnon.
Oh, yeah, Agamemnon.
Yeah.
The excerpts did not hold back on him.
He's something else, isn't he? Talk about a king who makes even the most power-hungry CEOs look tame.
Right, he makes them look like they're running a bake sale.
It's all about ego with him.
So how does their little "my pride is bigger than yours" contest actually play out?
Well, you gotta remember the culture they were living in. Honor, respect, these weren't just nice ideas, they were everything.
And Agamemnon, I'm guessing, wasn't big on sharing?
Understatement of the century. No. Agamemnon, he's blinded by his pride, his ambition, and he ends up committing what the book calls the ultimate act of disrespect against Achilles.
Let me guess there's a woman involved.
Bingo. Her name is Briseis. Now, she's not just some random captive, mind you.
Oh.
The excerpts make it clear there's a real connection there. Deep affection, maybe even love.
Okay, so this isn't just a power play, it's personal.
Exactly. And Agamemnon, in a fit of arrogance, just decides, nope, she's mine now. rips her away from Achilles just like that.
I mean, talk about adding insult to injury, taking his war prize, I don't know, maybe even more than that.
Right, it's a direct hit to his heart, too.
It's not just about Briseis, is it? This is Agamemnon publicly humiliating Achilles.
Exactly. The book really drives that point home, saying that this one act, more than anything else, reveals the tragedy of both men.
Oh, how so?
Well, you've got Agamemnon so blinded by his ego that he can't see past the end of his own nose, can't see the consequences of his actions.
Like Achilles.
He's backed into a corner, right? Forced to choose between his pride and his, I don't know, duty to the war effort.
Oof, that's a tough one. So which does he choose? I feel like we know Achilles' pride is kind of his thing.
You're not wrong. He chooses pride. Yeah, he withdraws from the fighting, refuses to lift a finger to help. But, and the book really emphasizes this, it's not just a temper tantrum.
It's deeper than that.
Way deeper. Achilles Unveiled paints this picture of a man who's utterly broken by this betrayal. I mean, yeah, he's enraged, obviously, but also heartbroken, questioning everything he thought he knew.
So Agamemnon's little tower play really backfired, huh?
Big time. The Greeks, they start losing badly. They're missing their champion, you know? And Achilles, stewing in his anger, he's forced to confront the potential cost of his decision. The possible fall of Troy, the slaughter of his comrades.
And that's where Patroclus comes in, right?
Ah, Patroclus.
Achilles' closest friend, practically a brother to him.
The book actually does a great job of showing how deep their bond really was. And remember, this is a time when men, especially warriors, weren't exactly known for, like, emotional vulnerability.
It's shake it off, walk it off kind of thing.
Yeah. Exactly. But with Patroclus, we see this entirely different side of Achilles. A tenderness, a deep affection that's honestly kind of beautiful to read about.
So when Patroclus begs Achilles to rejoin the fight, I can't imagine how torn he must have been.
Oh, absolutely. But that pride, that anger at Agamemnon, it's still eating away at him, you know? He can't let it go, not yet. And Patroclus, he's witnessing the carnage, the losses, and he makes a decision, a very fateful one.
He puts on Achilles' armor, doesn't he? Tries to rally the Greeks, become a symbol of hope when all hope seems lost.
A tragic hero in his own right. Knowing the risk, but seeing the desperation of the situation, he decides to act. And for a while it works. The Greeks, they rally, the Trojans falter, but then...
Uh-oh. Enter Hector.
The Trojan prince, their champion.
This is it. This is the clash of titans we've all been waiting for.
And here's the thing. What makes it even more heartbreaking is that Hector, unlike Agamemnon, he's not driven by ego or ambition.
Really?
The book portrays him as this man who's bound by duty, by responsibility. He's fighting for his family, his city, even though deep down he knows it's probably a lost cause.
So when he faces Patroclus, thinking it's Achilles, there's no, malice there. No lust for glory.
There's a passage, it's towards the end of the excerpts, where it almost reads like Hector sees this whole thing as tragic inevitability. Two warriors, each fighting for what they believe in, destined to clash.
But only one can win.
And unfortunately for Patroclus, and ultimately for Achilles, Hector prevails.
Man, I can't imagine what that moment must have been like for Achilles, to get the news that his inaction, his pride, led to the death of his best friend.
It destroys him. It's like the book says, grief consumed him. His whole world shrinks. And so all that's left is this searing pain, this overwhelming need for vengeance.
He finally agrees to fight, but this isn't the same Achilles who stormed off the battlefield, is it?
Oh no. The Achilles who returns is a completely different beast. He's a force of nature, pure and simple. Gone is the conflicted hero, the uncertainty. All of that is replaced by this cold, hard focus.
He's not fighting for glory anymore, is he?
Nope. He's not even fighting for Greece, not really. He's fighting for revenge. Pure and simple.
And Hector, knowing he's the one who killed Patroclus, knowing what was coming for him, how does he face that?
With his head held high, actually. There's a really poignant part where Hector, he's saying goodbye to his wife and child, and he talks about facing your destiny with courage, even when it seems like all hope is lost.
Man, it's like, watching a train wreck in slow motion. You can't look away, even though you know it's coming.
And it's a train wreck of their own making, really.
You've got Achilles, consumed by grief, blinded by rage.
And on the other side, you have Hector, standing firm, driven by duty.
It's almost Shakespearean, isn't it? The tension, the drama, the knowledge that something's got to give.
The book doesn't hold back either. It describes their clash as this earth-shattering event.
Brutal, but you can't look away.
Achilles is like a whirlwind of fury, his grief fueling his every move. Hector, brave as he is, skilled as he is, he's just outmatched.
And it's not just a fight, is it? This is personal.
Oh, absolutely. This is about more than just winning a battle. It's about catharsis, almost.
Like Achilles needs to unleash all that pain, all that rage
Right.
somewhere on someone.
Exactly. And the book even hints that maybe, just maybe, Achilles thinks that by defeating Hector, by avenging Patroclus, he can somehow silence that pain, that guilt that's eating away at him.
But even in victory, it rings hollow, doesn't it?
It's the definition of a Pyrrhic victory.
And what happens afterward is just, I don't know, disturbing. The way Achilles treats Hector's body, dragging it around Troy. It's hard to reconcile that with the Achilles who hesitated, who felt the weight of his choices so deeply.
It's a stark reminder of how grief can twist even the best of us, how trauma can make monsters of us all.
It makes you think about the long-term cost of revenge.
Yeah.
How far is too far?
And that's a question that still resonates today, doesn't it? Where's the line between justice and vengeance? When does grief become something else entirely?
It's heavy stuff, but then there's that moment with King Priam. Talk about a turning point.
Oh man, that scene, it gives me chills every time I read it.
The father of the slain approaching the slayer, begging for his son's body.
It's like something out of a Greek tragedy.
In a way, I guess it is.
But it's more than that. It's a testament to the power of empathy, to the idea that even in the darkest of times, human connection can cut through the noise.
Because Priam, he approaches Achilles not as a king, but as a father.
Stripped of everything, his pride, his power, all he has left is this raw grief.
And it works. Achilles, the warrior who's shown no mercy, he's moved. He sees his own pain reflected back at him, I think.
He sees Priam's loss, and he remembers his own.
It's a flicker of humanity in the midst of all that darkness.
And a reminder that even in our darkest moments, we're capable of incredible compassion, incredible grace.
It's just tragic, because it doesn't change the ending, does it?
The prophecy, as we all know, has the final say.
And what an ending. Achilles, this seemingly invincible warrior, brought down by a single arrow.
To his heel, no less. It's ironic, it's poetic, it's Greek tragedy at its finest.
It reminds us that no one, not even the greatest heroes, are exempt from fate.
That even the strongest, the bravest, they all have their weaknesses.
We've really only scratched the surface of Achilles Unveiled today. There's so much more to unpack, so many layers to his story.
But what I hope you take away from this, even if you never open the book yourself, is that Achilles' story is more than just a bunch of names and dates in a history book.
It's a story about us.
It's about our capacity for greatness, for love, for compassion, but also for destruction, for rage, for grief.
It's about the choices we make and how those choices, for better or worse, continue to echo long after we're gone.
If you want to learn more about this flawed, complex, utterly human hero, I highly encourage you to check out Achilles Unveiled. You won't regret it.
And that's our deep dive for today. Thanks for joining us on this epic journey. We'll see you next time, same place, for another deep dive into the stories that shape our world.